Salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and this show is brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all sorts of good stuff. I'm flying solo today because I can't rely on nobody. No, Tuesdays, of course, is the day that Chris Carr has Tuesdays off, obviously, as she always does. And Rob's been dealing with a bout of the flu, so we will see him back in here tomorrow. But guys, today it is just you, me, a warm fire, and a bottle of champagne as we talk about our favorite things in the world. And I'm so glad you decided to make this show part of your day. But I'm actually not alone in the room. Sitting right over here, we got Ray Ora. Right beside Ray, of course, we got producer Jonathan Voico, and beside him, of course, we've got Taylor, who's going to turn on our slider any moment now.
Oh, that'd be great.
And of course, most importantly, we've got you guys. Thanks for being here with us today, guys. A little bit of, what? Am I missing something?
I just want to point out my official Sentry shirt.
Ooh.
I
didn't even notice that when you came in this morning.
You don't notice a lot of stuff.
You immediately go for the coffee and then you sit down behind your laptop. I can't see shit.
Yeah. So, it's official, baby. Let's do it. Let's make that movie already. I just wanted to point that out.
Where did you get it?
Hot Topic had a sale.
Did they?
Yeah. Hot Topic.
I've never seen that shirt. We were just in Hot Topic the other day. I was buying a couple of pops.
No one bought the shirt.
But you did. That's all that matters. Now everybody's going to buy it.
It was on clearance. $7.
Tell you what, those girls we met at LA Comic-Con that were asking about my brother-in-law, they'll go buy the shirt now.
Oh, I think they thought Jonathan was your brother-in-law. They associated the race with.
You're white. He must be your brother-in-law.
You're always talking about a brother-in-law.
All right, guys. This is what we're going to do. This is how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it into two parts. In the first half of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to throw it open to you guys and take your live comments and questions. Here's how you get a live comment or question read on the show. Number one, you've got to be watching live. Number two, when we get to the end of the main topics, I'll announce that we're opening up the super chats, and we only leave them open for just a couple of minutes. But once we do, that'll be your time to fire in your thoughts, theories, opinions, and questions, and I will address those in the second half of the show. Also, a little bit of housekeeping here. If you need your daily fix of the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, good news. There's an audio-only version simply known as the John Campea Show podcast. Just go onto your favorite podcasting app of choice. Look at those 5 stars. Subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it. Also, I just want to follow up on something that we talked about yesterday. You guys know, if you watched the show yesterday, that we have launched off our annual Adopt a Family Christmas program. Now, of course, Ann and I have been doing this for about 10 years, but we decided to do it as a YouTube channel family last year as well. And what you guys did to just give that family, you changed that family's world last year. And we're doing it again this year. So yesterday we announced that our Adopt a Family this year, they're just wonderful people. It's a mother and father who, as a result of the pandemic, they both lost their jobs. As a result of losing their jobs, they lost their home. They have 6 kids ranging from 8 years old to 18 years old. And thank goodness they've been able to find jobs again. But, the economy the way that it is, the fact that minimum wage is so low, getting back on your feet and getting things up together again, because they're still living in hotels. And that is the family we've been paired with this week. Now, we told you guys that down in the description of this video, and you can see it's still there, we launched our Amazon wish list thing. We had over 115 things on that wish list. I think like 10 things are left, which is great. So if you still want to get something for that family, just click on the Amazon wish list link, find one of the things that are still available to be bought, buy it, and it'll get shipped to me. Me and Ann will wrap it and we'll deliver it, and that'll be great. Now, there's something else, another link we put down there, which is this. A lot of you guys wrote into me yesterday and said, John, we would also just like to donate financially. Can you set up some way to do it financially? And that's a little bit tricky, but so many of you guys wrote in and asked to do that we did set up a GoFundMe page. And you'll see right in the top of the description, there is a link to that GoFundMe page. And I just kind of randomly put it up yesterday, and over $1,000 has been raised already for this family, which is just incredible. And today, we're going to have somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 people watching this show live. If everybody kicked in $1, we would hit the goal. And we'd be able to give this family like a $5,000 check on top of all that other stuff. So I want to ask you guys if you and you know what? Here's what I'm going to ask too. If you are stuck between either sending in a super chat later or sending in some money to help this family out, screw the super chats. Just go to the GoFundMe page and send money for the family. Like, if you want to do both, great. You're my favorite kind of person. But honestly, you got to do one or the other. Go do the GoFundMe for the family. It's down there right now. You can do that right now, and we will check in on that a little bit later. So, okay, that's going to be my daily pop for our adopt a family thing this year. All right, guys, with all that down and out of the way, let's start things off here with a couple of off the tops. And our first one is this. You know, they say history is always doomed to repeat itself, guys. There was a long time that we suffered under the yoke, if you will, of cable television. That you had to pay like $130. I think the last cable bill I paid, and this is like over a decade ago, I was paying like $130 a month for getting tons of channels I didn't want. Hardly had access to things I did. I mean, it was just frustrating. Then came this new golden era of streaming. You know, you pay for what you want. It's going to be cheaper than anything else in the world. We're going to get rid of the commercials. Remember that? Remember how happy that made all of us? No commercials. Yay. So we've had streaming for a little while now. And what's coming back? Commercials. They're coming back as Netflix is moving to an ad-supported tier. Hulu has an ad-supported tier. And now Disney is also getting ready to move to an ad-supported tier as well. Now, the basic idea of this is simple, that you can pay full price for the streaming service and have no commercials, or you can pay a little bit less and just have to watch some commercials. Disney pulled a big FU to all their customers by saying, oh, we're going to introduce a cheaper ad-supported tier. Yay! Okay. Then they raised the prices of their regular tier and made their cheaper ad-supported tier the exact same price that the full tier was without the commercials before. that is one of the best cons ever. Oh, we're going to give it to you for cheaper.
That's like in retail where they're like 20% off, but they raised all the prices 20% before they did the 20% off.
That's exactly what it is. Now, I mean, I remember an airline got busted for that a few years ago. That there was an Easter, a 15% discount thing, but 3 days before Easter, they jacked the prices by like 15 or 20%. It's a huge con. It's an unbelievable, huge con. At any rate, we've discussed on this show before, though, about, do people want to watch commercials? Are people okay with watching commercials? A lot of people in this room, when Rob and Chris were like, yeah, Rob especially, it's like, I can't go back to watching commercials. I just can't. And you know what? I have to watch Yellowstone now because Yellowstone is on the Paramount Network, which means I got to watch commercials when I'm watching Yellowstone. And I really feel like I really notice it. That's just because I'm used to not watching commercials now, right? I'm just used to seeing no commercials. So I'm watching Yellowstone and like a lot of commercials. I'm ugh. But you know what? According to a new study that's just come out, they are projecting that 1 out of every 4 Disney Plus subscribers is actually going to opt for the cheaper, which is really what full price was a few weeks ago, but the cheaper ad-supported version. 1 out of every 4. And here's the funny thing about that. This is why I find this so interesting, because I would have thought that the number would have been much smaller. I would have thought maybe 1 out of every 8, 1 out of every 9, 1 out of every 10 people might be willing to do that. Because here's the interesting thing. It's only a $3 difference. Right now, the full regular price of Disney Plus is $10.99. Now, just a few weeks ago, it was $7.99. But today, the full price for no commercials is $10.99. The ad-supported tier is going to be what the full price was before, $7.99. It's only a $3 difference. I mean, I'm no mathematician, but what is that, 10 cents a day? For 10 cents a day.
Taylor, why don't you look that up?
Yeah, do some research for me, Taylor. Crack research team. That's 10 cents a day. 10 cents a day, you'll save at the expense of watching commercials. Again, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. Every consumer has their own preferences and about, hey, what's important to them, what's not that important to them. That's all good. But I'm just saying that if you would have asked me a year ago, I'm just being honest here. If you had asked me a year ago, hey, John, in a year, they're going to offer an ad-supported tier where people got to watch commercials, but it's only $3 cheaper. How many people do you think will sign up for that? I would have said 3%, 4%. It's going to be closer to 25%, one out of every four. So, Jonathan, let me ask you. I mean, look, you have traditional TV, you watch streaming stuff. Like, for you personally, would you opt for the ad-supported tier to save $3 a month? I'm just curious. Well, like,
I don't think I would. If I was a new subscriber and I had to click that subscribe button, I would probably do it now because something happened. So last season, during the MLB season, certain games,
because you're a big baseball guy,
yeah, and certain games were only streamed on Apple TV. So I decided Apple TV is really cheap, and the ad tier base is even cheaper. So I was like, whatever. Let me just do this as an entry level and see if I even like the rest of Apple TV. They did the same thing on Peacock. So that introduced me over to Peacock.
That's right, they did.
And I did the ad tier on that as well. I don't mind it because it's only about 1 or 2, and it honestly gives you a chance to kind of get up, use the restroom, go get a drink, whatever. It's not like network TV where there's just a string of ads, you know? And one thing I do like about what Peacock and Apple TV Plus are doing, unlike Netflix with this janky, oh yeah, you'll do an ad tier and we're going to drop you down to 720p and you're not going to get all of our content.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where I'm like, no way am I signing up for that.
Yeah, but from what I understand, Disney's not, for those of you who don't know what Jonathan's talking about, like, there's going to be this cheaper ad-supported plan for Netflix as well, but there are other sacrifices you're making. Like, you don't even get full HD. Right. There's some of the content you won't get. From what we can tell, this Disney Plus cheaper tier will still be full featured.
Which is great.
It's just that you get the commercials.
Yeah.
I guess it all depends on how many commercials you're looking at. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Like, I'll be honest with you, this number is a lot larger than I thought it would be. The fact that we're going to get, you're only really saving $3, but maybe a lot of people don't mind the commercials as much. Maybe they're going to keep the commercial number fairly reasonable and small. Maybe it's worth it. How do you guys feel about that? If you're a Disney Plus subscriber, will you downgrade to the ad-supported tier? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.
What are we going to do, John?
What are we going to do?
Have we made that decision yet?
Rob, Ray, of course, is a member of the John supported tier. He's on the John supported tier.
That's why whenever you bring up subscriptions, I like kind of get into a shell because I'm like, please don't look at me that I'm smooching off you.
What are we going to do, John? All right. With that down, guys, let's go into the next thing here. And that is this. Let's talk about some rewind, shall we? Let's talk about the films that are celebrating anniversaries this year. We are going to talk a little bit about the movies here in the John Campea Show Rewind that turned 10 years old, 20 years old, and to Ray's chagrin, 30 years old today. So let's kick things off here with the movie that's celebrating its 10th anniversary this week. And it's a bad one. Gerard Butler's Playing for Keeps with Jessica Biel, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Uma Thurman. Listen, this is like when Gerard Butler was really becoming the big A-list star. And I really like Gerard Butler. He's got a comedy, by the way, that's looks a lot like Playing for Keeps called what's it called again? It's not An Inconvenient Truth. What's it called? The Awful Truth. The Ugly Truth. The Ugly Truth. That's what it's called. The Ugly Truth. That also has terrible reviews, and so many people don't like that movie. I am here to tell you that movie is a comedy masterpiece.
With Heigl.
That's right, with Katherine Heigl. I love that movie. I think that movie's
pretty
great.
Good, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Playing for Keeps, though, not so much. Like you can see on this graphic, 4% Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Hey, listen, for a little comedy made $30 million. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at, but yeah, a truly, truly awful film turning 10 awful years old this week. All right, that's it for the wide releases that are turning 10. What about the ones that turned 20 years old? Well, there's a couple of them. First, we're going to start with Empire, with John Leguizamo, Peter Sarsgaard, Denise Richards. On paper, a very interesting sounding thing, like a
Fat Joe.
Don't forget Fat Joe. When a mob, like a criminal, decides to invest his money in the stock market, it's a really interesting premise. I mean, so many things about this movie should have turned out so well, but it did not. Once again, 21% on the Rotten Tomato meter. And what was it? Bring up the box office again. Made $18 million at the box office. So
it broke even.
Yeah, so probably roughly broke even. All right. Also, turning 20 years old. This one shocked me.
Yeah.
The sequel, Analyze That. Now, here's the thing. I mean, obviously, you can see this movie was terrible. 27% of Rotten Tomatoes. Made not bad money for a little comedy, $55 million.
Yeah.
The thing was, this was a sequel to a really great comedy. Analyze This with Billy Crystal and Robert De Niro, where Robert De Niro plays a mobster, but he needs therapy, so he starts going to Billy Crystal as a therapist. The first movie, Analyze This, was wonderful. Really, really fun. Analyze That, not so much. It was just everything that you could do wrong as a sequel, this movie did, unfortunately.
So it wasn't the case of just a novelty wearing off, like the spark from the first one. It wasn't one of those. It was just a bad movie.
It was just badly done. Yeah. Like if they had at least even hit all the same notes as the first one, but it was just old and tired, I would have liked it probably a little bit more than I ended up. I mean, it still would have been a step down, but it was really bad. Well, if you thought that was bad, let's go to our 30-year anniversary. Turning 30 years old this week, Eddie Murphy's forgotten gem, The Distinguished Gentleman. Eddie Murphy plays a con man who realizes the biggest con is being in government. And again, you can see 13%, 30 years old, 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, didn't do badly.
Yeah, the star power there.
You know,
Eddie Murphy had some star power.
You know,
He had
funny,
massive star power at the time. $46 million at the box office. Not incredibly terrible. So yeah, once again, guys, in Rewind this week, we got turning 10 years old, Playing for Keeps with Gerard Butler. Turning 20 years old, we've got, what do we got? We got Empire, and we've got Analyze That. And then turning 30 years old this week, The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy.
Were you purposely picking the worst movies?
Man.
These were the wide release
This was
movies.
just a rough day 20 years ago and 30 years ago and 10
But
years
you know
ago.
what? I'll tell you right now. Next week's Rewind
He's gonna be worse.
is going to be better.
Okay.
Next week's Rewind is better. I can already tell you that because I looked ahead a little bit. Next week's Rewind is going to be better. But yeah, guys, question is for you. Out of those gems of Hollywood history, which of those films do you remember the most? Are any of them the ones you remember fondly, or were they all kind of stinkers to you? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to take a second here and thank one of the sponsors of our show today, the makers of my favorite shirts that I own, our friends at True Classic. We want to thank the sponsor of today's video, True Classic. The holidays are here and there is plenty of t-shirt cheer thanks to our sponsor, True Classic Tees. Guys, we have the perfect gift for your wish list. True Classic Tees are a gift for you, for her, and a great present for any guy in your life. True Classic is on a mission to maximize men's confidence by making them look good. Get 25% off True Classic with my exclusive link, trueclassic.com/Campea, and the discount doesn't stop there. You'll save even more during their site-wide sale. Guys, like most of you, I have always struggled with finding the right shirts for me. Either they're not all that comfortable or they don't fit me all that right. Well, the best thing is that True Classic's team has designed t-shirts to make guys of all sizes feel confident in their clothing. These shirts taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. This is the perfect look that can be achieved by every body type. And they offer other menswear as well, ranging from polos to workout shirts designed to keep your body feeling nice and comfy. So guys, get 25% off at trueclassic.com/Campea. Free shipping included on purchases over $100. That's 25% off at trueclassic.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at True Classic for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Now let's keep moving forward with this episode of Thank God Ray's mic isn't live and hot during the commercial breaks, or this show would be canceled. All right, let's move on to the next thing here, shall we? Let's do another off the top. And our next off the top is this. You know, I love it when a movie's coming out that kind of sneaks up on you and turns out to be like a really, really pleasant surprise. A couple of CinemaCons ago, Aaron and I were in Vegas and they showed a preview for a film that I was unaware of at the time. It was a Brad Pitt film called Bullet Train. And then back in April at this past year's CinemaCon, they actually showed us how much did they show us? Right? Like they said the first reel was like the first 10, 15 minutes.
I think it was like more towards 20 minutes.
It was a good chunk of the film.
We got up to the part where he starts fighting Bad Bunny, or at the end of that part?
I think it was right at the beginning of that. That's right. It was right at the beginning of that. And we were all kind of really impressed with what we saw. It's like, this looks really, really entertaining. So then Bullet Train comes out, and I got to tell you, while it is not Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and it's not as good as Snatch, it was a fun little film. I had a really, really good time with this movie. And Brad Pitt was fantastic. Brian Tyree,
Is it Henry?
Henry was fantastic in it. Bad Bunny didn't really say anything, so there's not much to go off on there with Bad Bunny. Kick-Ass. What's Kick-Ass's name?
Aaron Taylor
Johnson.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. All these guys with 3 names.
Was the guy who plays Scorpion in it too?
Yes.
The one with the swords, right?
Yes. So, I mean, the cast, but these two, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Aaron and Brian here, playing the brothers, it was Brad Pitt's movie, make no mistake. He carried the film, was great. But these two, as well, just like stole the movie for me. And it had a nice little bit of success at the box. It wasn't a huge blockbuster, but a nice little bit of success. Well, here's the thing. This little movie didn't get a lot of fanfare, didn't get a lot of attention. It is now the #1 film on Netflix, according to IndieWire. It is now the #1 film on Netflix.
Over Troll?
Over Trolls. over a lot of things. It is the number 1 film there.
Well,
now,
keep forgetting to watch Troll.
Here's why this is really interesting. IndieWire and the article writer Tom Brueggemann raise a really, really interesting point here. And it's a point that I think Rob and I have been trying to make for a really long time, which is this. There is no way Bullet Train ever would have been #1 on Netflix had it not gotten a theatrical release. Bullet Train getting a theatrical release is what propelled it once it did ultimately end up on the streaming giant Netflix. Tom wrote this. He said, the success of Bullet Train also speaks to the value of a film first enjoying a major theatrical presence. Its #1 slot on Netflix comes after a $100 million plus domestic gross, followed by multiple weeks of VOD success. It replicates the platform's immediate interest in Sony's Where the Crawdads Sing, which spent more than a full week at the #1 spot and is still in the top 10. They go on to talk about the fact that neither of these movies, like if Where the Crawdads Sing or Bullet Train, were just straight to Netflix, straight to Disney Plus, straight to HBO Max, straight to Peacock, straight to Paramount Plus, whatever, these are not films that hit the #1 spot. They're just not. And one of the points that I think that this is reinforcing is something we've been saying for months, over a year around here, which is if you are a studio making these movies and you're a streaming service, you should absolutely want your movies in a movie theater first. Because when you bring it to your streaming service, it will have more success than if you just jumped it on the streaming service at first. Right.
Now, does Sony have like some sort of inside deal with Netflix? I see a lot of their films going to Netflix. It's because they don't have their own streaming service, right?
They have a content deal with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sony still insists. It's funny because when we were at CinemaCon, because Ray, you were there too, when Sony was doing their presentation, now I don't know if maybe they were talking out their ass, but they made a big deal of saying, yeah, we don't have a streaming service because we make movies for theaters. Now, we know that's not 100% true because they do make some content that does go directly to streaming sometimes, but they say they're focused on making movies that go in theaters. And I just think it's really interesting. You get a movie like Bullet Train, which I really had a lot of fun with. I personally hope they do a sequel to it. I would definitely see these characters back again. But when you look at a thing like Bullet Train and seeing it have its post-theatrical success, and there's simply no debating that it would not have that success were it not for a theatrical run first. When you've got now Netflix also doing their experiment with Glass Onion, putting it in theaters for a week, and it had the success that it had, I think, and Where the Crawdads Sing, that movie never would have been number one on any streaming service if it just dropped on streaming. Nowhere. But it was number one on Netflix for well over a week because it had a theatrical release. And I think case studies like Bullet Train and case studies like Glass Onion and case studies like Where the Crawdads Sing, I think the writing is on the wall for Netflix. I think Netflix is starting to realize slowly but surely this is the model we need to have. But again, it's like talking about the ad-supported tier, where we say, oh, we changed away from ads, and here we are coming back to ads. There was this mentality that, oh, we can move away from theatrical releases, and then all of a sudden all these studios and all these streamers are realizing, turns out it actually works better if we do theatrical first,
right,
and then do streaming. It's a really interesting case study. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? What did you think about Bullet Train? Was it a movie you enjoyed? I mean, it wasn't the greatest movie of the year, but I had a lot of fun with it. Are you surprised about the success it's having now that it's got its streaming platform underneath it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's now move on to our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. If you guys have a question for the show and you'd like to hear the sultry sounds of your own voice on our show, just go ahead and call our hotline anytime at 951-268-4259. Leave your message there and you just might hear your voice on our show. So let's get to our Mint Mobile question today.
Hello, John. This is Juan. I'm a big Dwayne Johnson fan, but do you think he deserves part of the blame for Black Adam underperforming financially and critically? I mean, this movie has been his baby for many years, so he probably was really involved with the script and everything else in it. I love Dwayne Johnson, but I have the feeling that maybe part of this movie's failure is his fault. Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot for calling that in. And you know, it's funny. We've been talking a lot about, over the last couple of months, Black Adam. A movie that they announced, well, they initially announced like 15 years ago or something like that. And then they seriously announced it like 7 or 8 years ago. And I was at the CinemaCon when Dwayne Johnson came out on stage. And this is like many, many, many years ago, saying the DC hierarchy is about to tremble under my boot and all this kind of stuff that he was saying. And then year after year after year passed. But, you know, it is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who is like my second favorite movie star in the world. And it is Black Adam, which is a real cool character. And they finally brought it to theaters. Was Black Adam as good as we were all hoping it could be? No, it wasn't. Now, listen, it's all subjective. Maybe to you it was the best film of the year. And if it was, awesome. But I think it's safe to say, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I say I think most of us consider that it wasn't as good as it could have been. I still had fun with that movie.
I did too.
I went to go see it multiple times in theaters. I'm going to watch it multiple times, probably over the Christmas holidays. It was fun.
I couldn't look myself in the mirror after, but I enjoyed it.
It's like shame sex. It's like, oh. But no, I had fun with it. But look, the dialogue was bad. The story was real weak. I mean, I still can't get over, minor spoiler here. I talked about this on my Ask Me Anything the other day. I still can't get over that the wizards deemed that Black Adam was such a menace that they had to imprison him to keep the world safe and imprison him for eternity. So what did they do? They put him in this prison, and then on the door, they put the instructions for opening the door. That's some top-notch security. We've got an electronic keypad on our door, locking the door, right? You got to have the code to get in. That is just the same as Jonathan writing up, hey guys, the keypad number to get in is 2555 or whatever.
Typing on the chat.
I mean that's what these all-wise wizards did. They literally put on the door instructions for opening the door.
And the son being the same age as the mom. That was crazy.
The son being the same age as the mom.
It was just, yeah.
But I mean, the movie was filled with stuff like that, right? But I still thought, despite all of that, I still thought that all the other stuff, the one-liners, the action, the violence, Hawkman. Dr. Fate, I thought Atom Smasher and whatever the girl's name was. Whatever her name is.
Don't do that.
You nailed it.
What was her name?
Wait, I'll get it.
Typhoon
You nailed
or-
it.
What was her name?
Was it Cyclone?
Don't laugh at me when you don't
I
even
know-
know
I
what
think
it
it was
was.
Cyclone.
You're laughing at me and you don't even know what it was. It was, what was it?
Cyclone.
It was Cyclone. I
But
was
that
like,
speaks to the movie. It's like in whatever the other person's name is.
yeah. Was it Typhoon? Okay, Cyclone. Cyclone. There we go. I mean, I liked all of that. There was enough in there that was still really fun, and I had a good time. But when you don't put fun with solid foundations of filmmaking, you might be setting yourself up for a bit of a stumble. And the reality is this: while a lot of movies would look at $360 million, actually, where is it right now? Black Adam is currently sitting at $384 million. While many, many, many films and directors would say, hey, my movie making $380 million is huge. When your budget was $200 million, no, it's not. When you've got the biggest movie star in the world and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, no, it's not. And you got to seriously look in the mirror and start asking some very hard questions. The fact of the matter is that theatrically Black Adam has lost DC money. And that is something that was inconceivable to a lot of people. Now, look, it would have been folly to ever think that a Black Adam could have made $800 million at the box office. The reality is most people have no idea who Black Adam is. Never even heard of the character. He's a secondary character to another character that a lot of people don't know about. Like most people have never even understood who Shazam is. And Black Adam is a secondary character to Shazam. So, I mean, nobody was expecting it to be $1 billion film or anything like that. But when you lose money, winning cures everything, but losing means there's some blame to go around. And I think Juan raises a really good question. How much of the responsibility of this movie losing money falls on the shoulders of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? And the honest answer is, some of it does.
Does it?
Who's the production company behind this? 7 Buck Productions.
Right.
Who owns 7 Buck Productions? Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Who's been the main driving force guiding what this movie could be and could not be for the past 7 years? Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I say that because when his movies win, and they almost all do, we give him a lot of the credit, and we should. But when you are in the position that you get a lot of the credit for a big win, you got to take some of the responsibility for when there's a loss. Now, look, I'm saying all that, but I still believe that now that the world knows who Shazam is, now that the people who did go see it probably had some fun with the movie, I still believe that if they do a Black Adam 2, I should say, I still believe that if they do Black Adam 2, you're going to see better results.
For me, I think the character too in itself was a tough sell.
Yeah.
Like for me, Shazam, when I first heard of him, like the very first time, someone said, yeah, he's just a kid that would, and then he says this word and he turns into a superhero. I'm like, wow, let me look into this character. And I actually really like Shazam, the character itself. Black Adam, I don't know, the description would pull a lot of people in. Like, you know, like, I mean, he's magic, but
yeah,
there's no fantasy about him. He's not a kid that turns into a superhero. He's just a evil dude, really. But they're trying to sell him as an anti-hero or whatever. I don't know. It has something to do with the pull of the character, I think.
I mean, that definitely has something to do with it, and the fact that they did not sell this movie properly.
They didn't.
He sold it like a wrestler, so he sold it.
Yes.
Like when he was at Comic-Con and all this other stuff, he sold it. He was building up like a wrestling character in that persona, and that's great because, you know, he's The Rock and he's coming out and he wants to do battle with Superman someday, but they still never really said what the movie was about.
Yes.
Or who the character was.
That's the key. As each new trailer would come out, I still remember when the final trailer came out, we talked about it on the show. It's like, I still don't know what the movie's about. Mm-hmm. I know who the main character is, and he's the new hierarchy of the DCU, and he's a bad guy, but he's not really a bad guy. And Okay, we know about the character, but we had no idea what's the story of the movie, what's going on. They did not do a good job selling this movie. And again, I put part of that responsibility on Dwayne Johnson, probably more Warner Brothers. I mean, that's a marketing issue. But yeah, the unfortunate thing is when you win, everything looks great. But when you lose, everybody starts pointing fingers, and there is blame to go around. Definitely Warner Brothers needs to shoulder some of the blame for this. Definitely Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson needs to shoulder some of the blame for it. I think there's going to be a lot of navel gazing, a lot of second guessing, but I still believe if they made a sequel 2 years from now, I think that sequel, not a $1 billion film, but I think that sequel makes more money than this one did. I still believe that. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Black Adam has ended up theatrically losing the studio money. And now the blame game starts. How much of the responsibility of that should Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson put on his immensely huge shoulders? What do you guys think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to head into our main topics here today. But before we do, we're going to take a second and thank another sponsor of our show. They're the ones who give me my nutrition in the morning, our friends at Athletic Greens. Hey guys, we want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, Athletic Greens. Now, I started taking Athletic Greens because I don't eat enough vegetables, and I was looking for a way to make up for that deficit in my diet of those vitamins and minerals that I really need in my system, and thank goodness I found Athletic Greens, and I literally take it every morning. You see, with one scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, all the things. And my wife got onto it, and now she absolutely loves it. You know, tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb, like Athletic Greens. So right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just one scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Campea. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Campea to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And thank you to our friends at Athletic Greens for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So if you go down to the description of this video, you'll find links and promo codes to all of our sponsors. And thank you again to Athletic Greens. Okay, guys, with that down, let's get into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics here on the show? Well, that's simple. You guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you guys come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Jonathan, what is our first main topic today?
Oh, our first main topic comes from Boyd. He writes, "Hey there, John and crew. Happy Tuesday. I read in the Wall Street Journal this morning that the HBO Max app is officially available to download once again on Amazon Prime Video channels after over a year of being unavailable. This, paired with the recent news that there will be a new DC animation content coming to Amazon Prime, makes it pretty clear that WB Discovery and Amazon are building a working relationship. What more can fans come to expect from this growing partnership?"
All right, Boyd, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, listen, you would be forgiven if you saw this headline in your news feed and thought, oh, it's just some administrative thing. This is a big deal. This is actually a really, really big deal, because amongst all the gaffes that AT&T made when they were the owners of Warner Brothers, and they made a lot of big mistakes, one of the bigger ones that affected their bottom line was how they launched HBO Max, and ultimately they lost their spot on the Amazon Prime channels. Now, look, if you're an Amazon Prime Video member, there are a number of premium channels that you can subscribe to right from inside the Amazon Video app. And if you know anything about consumers, we as consumers, we like simplicity. We like just having everything in one spot. And when they weren't able to secure their deal with Amazon Prime, they lost HBO being on those Prime channels, and it cost them. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety, who wrote the following. HBO Max return to Prime Video channels comes after the premium streamer, Under Warmer Media, dropped off of Prime Video channels in September of 2021 after the media company and Amazon failed to reach an agreement to extend the distribution pact. The sticking point, Warner Media, then owned by AT&T, wanted more control of the direct-to-consumer relationships, including the ability to collect data for targeted advertising. Then Amazon was willing to cede. About 5 million HBO and HBO Max customers had subscribed to Prime Video channels, and the end of the deal took a bite out of HBO Max's subscriber base. Listen to that number again. 5 million paying subscribers all of a sudden no longer had access to HBO Max the way they wanted to access it, which was through their one centralized hub that we had. Now listen, Amazon Prime is not the only game in town. There's many other ways to do it. But the reality is that we as consumers are creatures of habit. We are. It's been proven over and over. There's no debating that. It's been proven again and again and again. It's not true of every single one of us, clearly, but it is true of the majority. And so all of a sudden they couldn't reach this deal. They thought, no big deal. Everybody will just move over and get the HBO thing. It dinged them like 5 million subscribers. Now, you might think to yourself, 5 million in the grand scheme of things, is that big of a number? Well, how much is HBO Max? $15? Taylor, math time.
Oh, shit.
Because I know if it was $10, that would be $50 million. So 75 million. 75
Thanks,
million.
Taylor. You did great.
I'm still on the 15.
No, it's 75 million. I just did the math in my head. $75 million. That is every single month. They were losing $75 million. After a year, that's close to $1 billion of lost revenue because they botched that deal. And now, under new ownership, with Discovery now owning HBO, they realized, hey, you know, it'd be fun getting almost $1 billion of revenue that we don't currently have. And they have gone back, and Amazon Prime of them have now made their deal official again. And again, this is just good business for HBO. It's good business for Amazon because they'll get a little slice of that as well. I mean, look, in a perfect world, if you're HBO, in a perfect world, everybody just subscribes to your streaming service directly. That is ideal in the perfect world. But we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a world of compromises. We live in a world of get the best deal you can, even if it's not the ideal or perfect thing. And listen, HBO Max has a lot of direct consumers. Absolutely. I am one of them. I am a direct consumer of HBO Max. But I know several people who got their HBO Max through Amazon and just never signed back up for HBO Max again once it dropped off. And there were a lot of people who were like that. These types of little administrative things matter a lot. And so it's actually really interesting. Now, you brought up the point that they just recently made this deal to have some DC animation be streamed on Amazon Prime as opposed to HBO Max, because that doesn't really seem to be the home for HBO Max right now, what they want. Is this some kind of an indicator of a deeper ongoing relationship? I'm going to say I don't think so. I think these are two isolated different deals that each have benefits and pros for both sides. I don't think this means that I saw some people today speculating that we're about to see a HBO Max and Amazon merger. That is not happening. I think these are two separate individual deals.
Amazon Max.
What's that?
Amazon Max.
Amazon Max Plus
Yes.
is coming. So, I mean, I think it's just that. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think of this deal that they just made? I think this is a significant big win, both for HBO and for Amazon Prime. It's going to get a lot of subscribers back on board with HBO. It's going to make them some much needed money. Hopefully some money they'll put into some of their DC films. Anyway, guys, whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. Jonathan, what is our second main topic today?
All right, we have David Banks, and he writes, "Hi, John and crew. Last night, I was caught by surprise when I saw that actress Kirstie Alley had passed away at only 71 from cancer. I recently watched Cheers for the first time, and I thought her character, Rebecca, was hilarious. What are your thoughts on the news, and what was your favorite role of Kirstie Alley?"
All right, David, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, I was like you. I was totally caught by surprise. I had no idea she was ill. I think it sounded like from the reports that I read that she herself just found out very recently that she was ill. And I guess it moved and progressed very quickly. And all of a sudden we just get this news feed. I actually was in the car with Ann and I mentioned, did you hear that Kirstie Alley died? And she was like, what? Like no idea she was even ill. And depending on your age, you'll think of her and remember her from different things. A younger generation may think of her from Scream Queens. Was that what she was in?
Scream Queens, yeah.
From Scream Queens. We'll think of her from that. Slightly older might think of her from Look Who's Talking with John Travolta. Slightly older than that, you might remember her from her biggest role in Cheers.
Right.
Rob, were he here today, and feel better, Rob, but if Rob were here today, he would clearly talk about Star Trek. She played like one of the first Vulcans.
Right.
That one of the first non-Spock family Vulcans that we got to see, particularly in the movies. And she was in a couple of them, played a pivotal role, actually.
She was in North and South with Patrick Swayze, the miniseries.
I totally forgot about that one. Totally forgot about that one. And listen, you know what? You might be forgiven if you didn't realize she was also a pretty awards-heavy actress. This comes from the folks over at The Hollywood Reporter who write the following. The Body Alley collected 8 Emmy nominations during her career. The first 5 were for playing bar manager Rebecca Howe on NBC's Cheers after effectively taking over in 1987 for Shelley Long, who had quit the Boston-based series. She won the Emmy in 1991 and worked on the show through its 1993 conclusion. She played the accountant Molly Jensen, a single mother who has a baby, whose thoughts were voiced by Bruce Willis, opposite John Travolta in the hit comedy Look Who's Talking in 1989. Directed by Amy Heckerling, then returned for the sequels in 1990 and 1993. The green-eyed, husky-voiced Alley landed a second Emmy in 1994 for her turn as a woman who insists on caring for her autistic son alone in the telefilm David's Mother, and she was nominated again in 1997 for her performance in the Mario Puzo miniseries The Last Dawn. I don't know why this was, but Cheers was on when I was a kid. And when I think back to Cheers, I think of Shelley Long. Cheers was Ted Danson and Shelley Long.
Right.
Despite the fact that Kirstie Alley was in for 5 or 6 seasons, I really just think of Shelley Long. And I always thought as the show took a step down after Shelley Long left. But you know what? After hearing about Kirstie Alley's passing, I went online and I started looking up some Cheers clips with her. And again, I was a kid when she was on, but man, she was funny. I don't know that she had that same magic chemistry that Shelley Long and Ted Danson had together, but the chemistry that she was able to forge with Ted Danson as the new character on the show was really damn impressive.
Especially coming off of Shelley Long leaving, because that pairing was, like you said, made the show. When you make a massive change like that, you're taking a huge risk on a series, and it worked. That's rare.
Take a show like, let's say, go back to Family Ties.
Right.
And you had Michael Gross was the dad. Meredith, what was the name of the actress who played the Michael J. Fox's mom? Oh. It was Meredith something. Anyway, but, they were America's Family for a while. Mm-hmm. It would have been like having them together for 4 years on the show and all of a sudden say, they just got divorced and now Michael Gross has a new wife, and expecting the audience to get on board with that. Imagine, what's that terrible show? Big Bang Theory. Imagine Big Bang Theory. And yes, I said it's a terrible show. But, a lot of people fell in love with blah, 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 and what's her name?
Right.
And now imagine if all of a sudden Kelly Kuko's character, they just like 2 or 3 years into it, they just took her out and replaced her with, I don't know, Taylor. And they said, like the fan base loved that couple. Don't know why, because the show was terrible, but the fan base loved that couple. So you got to remember, back in that time, the very fact that they were able to make that transition from a beloved character on a character before the term was even created that the audience shipped with in that relationship, replace her with a completely new character, and that show still lasted another 5 or 6 seasons. That, I think, speaks a lot to the talent of Kirstie Alley.
And won an Emmy.
And nominated for a buttload of them, too, at the same time. And again, she was a great Vulcan as well. So, I mean, and then, of course, Look Who's Talking came around, which revitalized, one of the things that revitalized John Travolta's career. And it's a really, really sad day to hear about her. She was fiercely talented. I don't think she ever got the credit she deserved in life. At any rate, guys, question is for you. What do you think about when you think about the career of Kirstie Alley? Do you just go back to Scream Queens? Do you go a little bit further back to Look Who's Talking? Do you go all the way back to the Cheers? Or do you just think of her in Star Trek? Whatever you guys thought about her, what was the highlight for you? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3, shall we? Jonathan, what is our third main topic today?
All right, well, we got one from Jesse the Savage. He writes, or she writes, I'm not sure. Hey, crew, big fan. I saw that the Hollywood Reporter is reporting that Warner Brothers just announced that The Flash is opening 1 week earlier than the previous date. What does this tell you about The Flash? Keep up the great work and bring on the filthy.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for sending that, or ma'am, for sending that in. And guys, it never quite feels right unless we're talking about The Flash. There's always got to be something to talk about The Flash. So yeah, listen, obviously we don't need to revisit the whole history of all the drama, the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 35 things that's gone on with Ezra Miller and all the trouble they've gotten into and all the embarrassment they've caused this project in the studio and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, all we have heard was that this movie that this director made is fantastic. That's all we keep hearing. That the movie itself is a high quality product. And because of that, Warner Brothers has unwavered on the fact that this movie is coming to theaters because it's great. We think it's a great movie. Our director did a fantastic job making this movie. And so it's going to see a movie theater. Unlike Batgirl, which we did not believe in, but we believe in this one. Now, there are some people online like me that have really suggested that I think it would have been wise for Warner Brothers to take Flash and move it up as much as possible. Only because Ezra Miller is so erratic that you just don't want to risk more embarrassment and bad press for it. So just get this movie out as quick as you can. But they've held firm until now. Because now the movie is getting released a little bit earlier. This comes to us from the folks over at IndieWire who wrote the following. Deadline is reporting that the response to early test screenings for The Flash have been overwhelmingly positive, with one anonymous source saying that the film is as good as Disney's Spider-Man No Way Home. The film reportedly features nostalgia-invoking cameos from Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck and have played extremely well with fans. The strong response has caused Warner Brothers to move the film's 2023 release date up by a week, and I'll tell you why that's important here in a second. The film was originally scheduled to open in theaters on June 23rd, 2023, but will now open on June 16th. That slot positions the film to compete for a large portion of the Father's Day weekend box office with Pixar's It Elemental and Sony's Jennifer Lawrence comedy No Hard Feelings. That's not going to be big competition as the film's only major competition. And then that comes to us from IndieWire. So they've decided to move the release date of Flash up, but it's not a lot. It's only by a week. So does that really matter? It does, because there's a couple of really interesting things about that. This movie is already coming out in a month that's completely packed. Let's go over to the classroom for just a second here. Because look at this. On June 2nd, we've got this movie's going to be huge. Again, not $1 billion film, but this movie's going to be huge. We've got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. We saw some footage of this at CinemaCon, and everybody lost their minds over it. Everybody thought they were even showing us animation that wasn't finished. Like, it was some finished animation, and then as the scene continued, it would switch to like pencil sketch animation, and then scene would continue, go back to full animation, then the scene would continue and then go to wireframe animation. But it didn't matter. Like, everybody was so taken with it, looked incredible. That's coming out in June. But that ain't the only thing coming out in June. On June 9th, Transformers Rise of the Beasts come out.
Yeah.
And that trailer that just dropped is awesome. All Transformer trailers are awesome. They usually turns out to be big bags of shit, the movies, but hey, the trailer was great. And regardless of what you or I might say, the reality is that these Transformers movies, they make cash. They make money. So that's coming out just 1 week before The Flash now on June 9th, which of course then leads us into June 16th, which is The Flash. Now, as was already mentioned right there in the article, that now puts it on the exact same day as Pixar's Elemental. Now, they just recently put out the first trailer for Elemental. It was really just a little teaser, but it was pretty wonderful. It felt like it had that Pixar magic to it. Had a little bit of Inside Out to it a little bit. To me, it had a little bit of a sense of a WALL-E to it as well. It just felt really nice, really special. But here's the big thing. One of the reasons that they moved it back a week, even though it puts them into this really big hornet's nest, is that by moving it up 1 week from June 23rd to June 16th, it moves it 1 week further away from Indiana Jones 5 and the Dial of Destiny. Because whatever fake controversy some people try to cause around this, I don't think Indiana Jones 5 is going to be $1 billion film. I just don't think it will. But it's going to be big. It's going to be big. And I don't think Warner Brothers wanted their Flash movie that they seem to have a lot of belief in. I don't think they wanted that to have its opening weekend and then to have its second weekend absolutely crushed by Indiana Jones. And I've said for a long time, I believe 2 weeks in the modern way people go to movies. The movies make the vast majority, normally, movies make the vast majority of their money in their first 2 weeks. And so I think 2 weeks, I mean, you'd rather have a little bit more space, but 2 weeks isn't all that bad. So there's that. But guys, take a second here. As we've been going through the pandemic and now in the post-pandemic era and, maybe one good movie every month, look at this June. June 2nd, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. June 9th, Transformers Rise of the Beast. June 16th, Flash. Also June 16th, Pixar's Elemental. June 30th, Indiana Jones 5. It is starting to look normal again. Things are starting to look normal again. That is going to be I am very excited about this month. Now, I don't believe all these movies are going to be great, but I think all of them have the potential to be great. And that's the key. It's been a long time since I've gone into a month where I've had like 5 or 6 high-profile films coming out that I truly believed had the chance of all of them being really good. I'm sure 1 or 2 of these are going to be disappointments, but I think there's a lot of possibilities in here and a lot of potential in here. So, moving The Flash up 1 week, even though I would say this, and there are going to be people who disagree, and that's fine. But I think if you were given the chance and the option, if I was a studio executive at Warner Brothers, and they presented me the option, said, okay, look, we basically want to stay in June. Now, we can stay on a weekend that we basically have the weekend to ourselves on June 23rd, but we're only 1 week away from Indy 5. Or we could move up 1 week, release on the same weekend as another potentially big film with Pixar's Elemental, but we're putting 2 weeks of separation between us and Indiana Jones. I think I would be in the boardroom voting for giving me that extra separation.
Yeah, it pads your second week drop off.
Yes.
Because you don't have a competition to deal with that second week drop off.
And on top of that, whatever money you may lose out on, if there are some families that weekend that decide, you know what, instead of us going to go see Flash, we want to take the kids and go see Elemental, fine. Your second weekend now, you basically got to yourselves, right? So me personally, I would keep it there. Now, again, if I was in that boardroom, I'd be saying, hey guys, you know what? February's looking pretty good to me. Let's really move this thing up. Obviously, that's not going to happen right now, but I think this is a good move on their part. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this move that they've moved the Flash up 1 week? Doesn't sound like much, but there's actually some chess going on here. Would you have kept it on its own weekend away from Pixar, but only 1 week separated from Indiana Jones? Or would you do what they ultimately decided to do? Go head to head with the Pixar film, but give yourself more cushion between you and Indiana Jones 5. What do you think the right move would have been? Or do you think all this is for nothing because Ezra's going to blow up the headlines again and just sink it for everybody? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to take a second here and thank another sponsor of our show here today. I was using them on my treadmill this morning. Manscaped. No, just kidding. Don't use that on the treadmill. Our friends at Raycon. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Raycon. Guys, the holiday season is upon us, so in the spirit of giving, allow me to give you my recommendation. Premium audio products from Raycon. Raycon's wireless earbuds, headphones, and speakers offer premium sound. Anyone you gift them to will find a use for them right away. And as the person doing the gift giving, you're going to love the fact that they start at half the price of other premium audio brands. You guys know I've been using my Raycons for a long time. Every morning I get up and get on my treadmill, and I love using the Raycons because they're comfortable, they fit perfectly, and most importantly, they sound great. You can find Raycon in stores now like Kohl's or Walmart, but let me tell you right now, you're always going to get the best deal at buyraycon.com/Campea. The Raycon website also offers free shipping, free returns, and buy now, pay later options, plus a 30-day happiness guarantee. So guys, right now go to buyraycon.com/Campea to get 15% off site-wide with the code HOLIDAY, plus free shipping. That's code HOLIDAY at buyraycon.com/Campea for 15% off your Raycon purchase. buyraycon.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Raycon for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's move into main topic number 4. Jonathan, what is our fourth main topic today?
This one comes from Pat Guy. He writes, "Hey Campea crew, Pat from Massachusetts here. I just heard that Gil Kenan will be taking over as director of the Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel. I personally loved Afterlife and am a little sad about Jason Reitman stepping into a producer-only role. But I'm relieved someone so heavily involved in the first film will be helming its sequel. Should we be concerned?"
All right, Pat, thanks a lot for sending that in. And, you know, I often go back to that one CinemaCon that Aaron and I went to 2 CinemaCons ago. And we went into the Sony presentation at CinemaCon. And it was great because Jason Reitman and his father, this is obviously before Ivan passed away, Jason Reitman and his father, Ivan Reitman, came out on stage to do a presentation about their upcoming film, Ghostbusters Afterlife. This was still months before the movie was coming out. And as they were wrapping up their talk, they were like, and there are a few surprises, as you will now see, as we're about to show you the whole movie. And I just remember like Aaron and I looking at each other and everybody in that Celine Dion theater at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas looking, it's like, wait, what? And they did this big surprise screening. They showed us the whole movie. And I was so pleasantly surprised by it. Again, it wasn't like better than the original Ghostbusters, but I mean, this was a movie that very well could have gone wrong 1,000 different ways. And instead, they made a fun, charming, true to the spirit of the original, all that. They just made a delightful movie. And I really quite enjoyed it. And I think Aaron enjoyed it a lot more than even I did. But I had a really, really good time with it. Again, not the best film of the year, not a top 10 film of the year, but it was quite good. And for a movie that, again, could have gone wrong so many different ways. Paul Rudd is fantastic in it too, by the way. Really, really pleasantly surprised. So clearly with the success that they had, particularly since the movie still came out when we were deeper still into the pandemic and everything, It had some pretty good success, so a sequel was obvious. They announced a while ago officially that they were doing a sequel, but now we find out that it ain't going to be Jason Reitman in the director's chair. As the person who wrote in just pointed out, Gil Keenan, who, by the way, was one of the screenwriters with Jason Reitman of Ghostbusters Afterlife, is going to be taking up the director's duties. You're asking, should we be concerned? I'm going to tell you this. While it is reassuring that somebody who was one of the writers of the last film is going to be the one directing it, I'm a little iffy. Let's bring up my screen here for a second, Jonathan, if we're able to do that. Because when it comes to directing, Gil doesn't have the best track record. Now, he did something that I will confess I've never seen, which was A Boy Called Christmas. So this was not a wide release film, obviously. I'm not familiar with it. I really can't tell you much about it. He directed one episode in 2016 of Scream, the TV series, which I never watched. And again, it was just one episode. But then you get down into his three major films. He directed the Poltergeist remake, which I didn't think was great. He also directed City of Ember, which, again, not very good. And he did Monster House, the animated film Monster House. You know what? Monster House wasn't bad.
I like Monster House.
Yeah, Monster House wasn't bad. Like, not my top 20 favorite animated films of all time or anything like that, but it wasn't bad. So really, I'm looking at this collection of three films. This one animated thing that he did, gosh, how many, 16 years ago? That wasn't bad. And then two bigger live action films that I did not think were handled all that well with City of Ember and Poltergeist. And then he did one episode of the Scream Show. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I look at that and it's not real encouraging. It's not like we looked down on his list and saw 3 Emmy nominations and 2 Oscar nominations. And no, I mean, it's like, okay, hasn't really done a lot. Now, look, obviously, in a perfect world, I wanted Jason Reitman to return to direct again. But I get why he's not for 2 different reasons. Number one, it is a lot easier to write and produce a movie than it is to direct a movie. You're directing the movie, you are in 20 meetings every day, you're overseeing every single department on the film, you are on set every day, you're in pre-production every day, you're in post-production every day. It is a grueling time commitment of a thing. And if you can just write it and then produce it and let somebody else direct it, I get that. The other thing is this, and nobody has said this anywhere, but I got to believe that my fellow good Canadian kid, Jason Reitman, probably feels this way a little bit. Ghostbusters Afterlife was a passion project that he did with his dad. And it's hard for me to articulate and to put it into words when Jason and Ivan were on stage together in Las Vegas at CinemaCon. There was something magical about it. Of course, his dad, Ivan Reitman, the director of the original Ghostbusters, now passing the torch to his son. It was clearly a very special thing for Jason to be able to do that with his dad and to pick up that mantle and take up that torch. And since then, his dad, the great Ivan Reitman, has passed away. And there might be something about that says, you know what? The next one isn't for me to direct. It's just, I've got to imagine it would be difficult. It would be painful. I mean, directing a movie in and of itself is difficult anyway. So understanding why Jason Reitman wouldn't necessarily want to direct the second one, I get it. Going then to somebody who co-wrote Ghostbusters Afterlife with him, that makes sense. But again, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little trepidatious because I don't think Gil has a great track record. That doesn't mean he doesn't got something brilliant in him for this, and maybe this works out great, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it does, and I'm going to cheer for him. But yeah, I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you I was a little bit worried about it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? There's going to be a new person in the director's chair for the Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel. Jason Reitman is going to write it with them, and he's going to be a producer on it, but he will not be the one in the director's chair. And we've got somebody in there who has not the best track record, but I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? Are you still looking forward to the sequel? Maybe you never liked the first Ghostbusters Afterlife. Whatever you guys thought, jump down into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move into main topic number 5. Jonathan, What is our fifth main topic today?
This one comes from the Vinster. Hey, John and crew. Yesterday, I saw a report from CBR that Bilal Fallah and Adil El Arbi, the directors of the scrapped Batgirl film, have a meeting scheduled with James Gunn. What do you guys make of this? Could I keep saying Batman, could Batgirl still see the light of day? Or could Gunn possibly have a different project in mind for them? Love to hear y'all's thoughts. Thanks.
All right, Vincer, thanks a lot for saying that in. And I think it's safe to say that the biggest controversy in comic book movies recently, well, maybe it's not safe to say with Ezra out there, but one of the biggest controversies out there was Warner Brothers scrapping the Batgirl project, which from everything I hear might have been the biggest favor Warner Brothers could have done for this director duo, because from everything I have heard, both from other outlets and from people I know close to the source, the movie was a train wreck. And it could have really hurt their careers. It could have done a lot of damage. It could have hurt the DC brand, all that kind of stuff. So it got pulled. But you had these two directors who did a really good job with their Bad Boys movie. I had a lot. It was I'll tell you right now, their Bad Boys movie is my favorite Bad Boys movie. And the job they did on Ms. Marvel, stellar. Did a really, really good job on Ms. Marvel. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have bad days at the office, and apparently it looks like Batgirl was their bad day at the office. Fine. But right from the beginning, when they announced that they were scrapping Batgirl, Warner Brothers said, hey, this has nothing to do with how we feel about the star. What was her name? Leslie
Grace?
Leslie Grace? Yeah, Leslie Grace. This has nothing to do with how talented we think Leslie Grace is. We want to work with her again. They even said we would love to work with these directors again. But you can't think that would seriously happen. Well, apparently, maybe they will, but it has nothing to do with Batgirl. I'm sorry to anybody out there who is thinking that this meeting that has been set up between the directors and James Gunn might indicate that Batgirl might see the light of day. It ain't. But for some of you hopeless Batman Beyond fans, it could be very good news. This comes to us from the folks over at Screen Rant who write the following. Falal and LRB were publicly devastated by Batgirl's cancellation by Warner Brothers, but the partners are still open to complete another film for DC Studios under one condition, that the movie is actually released. Although their future with DC Studios is not set, they are interested in reviving Batman Beyond and adapting the futuristic Dark Knight to the big screen. Developed by Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, and Alan Burnett for the WB Network in 1999, the animated series centered on Terry McGinnis, a teenager groomed by Bruce Wayne to replace him as the protector of Gotham. As Fallah and LRB are scheduled to meet with James Gunn and with their eyes set on future DC projects to include Batman Beyond, the directors still could contribute to the DCU. All right. All right. Let's get into this. Number one, nothing even remotely suggests this is about getting Batgirl released. That unfortunately, for even if James Gunn wanted to do that, even though he is co-CEO of DC Studios, the reality is he cannot overrule his boss's decree. So that does not look like it's what's on the table. But, and it is really unfortunate that Chris isn't here today and that Rob's not here.
I know, man. Come on.
But if you are one of these people,
One of these people.
what do you mean, these people? If you are one of the fine folks, if you are one of those people who've wanted a Batman Beyond film for all time, listen, this ain't saying that it's going to happen, but it does bring up the possibility. It does bring that up. Now, listen, I have been for over 10 years, before I started at AMC, when I was still doing the movie blog, I had people writing to me telling me, John, anytime now, they're going to do a Batman Beyond movie. I said, no, they're not. No, they're not. And they wouldn't. 1 or 2 years would pass and more people come out and say, John, they're about to do a Batman Beyond movie. I said, no, they're not. And sure enough, they did. Then a couple more years would pass. John, and it's been like that for 10 years. But then something happened. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out. A movie and a project that, like Batman Beyond, takes a character that is not traditionally identified with the main mantle, right? You had Miles Morales, not Peter Parker, a very different Spider-Man that most people didn't know about. And they made a movie with him. Granted, it was animated. But they made a movie with him, and it was, in my opinion, the second best movie of the year. Not second best comic book movie of the year. It was the best comic book movie of the year. That was the same year that Black Panther and Avengers Infinity War came out, and I still to this day will tell you Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was the best comic book movie that year. And I thought, other than Black Klansman, I thought it was the best movie of the year. That said, with the success of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I started saying, well, you know what? This could, look, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but this could open the door for those of you wanting a Batman Beyond. The success of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse could be a little bit of a flare into the air for Warner Brothers to say, you know what? Maybe a Batman Beyond could work. And I've said every year since that, look, I'm still not anticipating that a Batman Beyond project is about to be made, but I do believe that every year that passes now, it becomes more and more possible and more maybe even likely. I still think it is more likely that they dip their toe in the waters with a Batman Beyond animated thing. I've been saying that for a couple of years. I still think it's more likely that they do a Batman Beyond animated thing, if anything at all. But this whole story about, these guys meeting with James Gunn, it's not going to be about Batgirl, but they do want to keep in the Bat family. Maybe they want to talk to him about Batman. And here's the other thing. Whereas I think 9 out of 10 studio executives, even 9 out of 10 possible DC studio executives, would not want to go down the path of an obscure, unknown, little cared about character like Batman Beyond. You know who loves those kinds of characters?
Yep.
James Gunn loves those kinds of characters. This is the same dude who gave us Polka Dot Man. Who the hell in their right mind is giving us Polka Dot Man? James Gunn is. Who the hell is going to try to make a Peacemaker show? James Gunn will make a Peacemaker show. Now look, let me be very clear. I am not sitting here telling you they're going to do a Batman Beyond movie. I'm not. You are. I am not telling you that they are going to do a Batman Beyond movie. But like I've been saying since Into the Spider-Verse came out, it is more possible today than ever before. And now you've got a guy who is the head of DC Studios who loves these kind of obscure characters and does not mind. Look, go all the way back to Guardians of the Galaxy. Who the hell knew anything about Guardians of the Galaxy? Nobody. Nobody knew anything about Guardians of the Galaxy. Going all the way back to his time at Marvel, James Gunn has proved that he absolutely loves and believes in these smaller, obscure characters that they can have big success. Hell, he did it with Guardians of the Galaxy. He absolutely did it with Peacemaker. Didn't have so much success doing that with Suicide Squad, but still there were other circumstances surrounding that. And while I am not saying they're about to do Batman Beyond, this is your shot. If you can't get a Batman Beyond movie made animated or otherwise with these two directors who Warner Brothers might feel they owe a little bit of a makeup, right? Warner Brothers didn't enjoy canceling Batgirl. They might feel that they owe these two guys a little bit of a makeup shot. With a head of DC Studios who is more open to doing these kinds of characters than any other studio executive, I would dare say, in the world, this is your shot. You don't get this done now, it ain't getting done. So while I am not saying they will do it, I won't be surprised if in the next 12 months we don't hear that some kind of this is coming from me, that some kind of Batman Beyond project may get announced. Now, I still think it'll probably be animated, but a live action thing, James Gunn, he made Peacemaker live action. I don't know, Ray, what do you think?
I always envisioned the Batman Beyond to be like sort of like their young answer to Iron Man. You know what I mean? Like just from the tech that we saw Robert Pattinson use in the Batman, just that contact lens. Imagine just a kid with all that around him. And a cool suit. I mean, they did Miss Marvel, right? They did some episodes of Miss Marvel.
Yeah, they did.
So they have that charm they could add to it. What a little kid trying to get through, whatever he's dealing with, trying to take orders from older Bruce Wayne. It could be a completely different universe. I actually want it to be a one-off by itself.
Right.
I always thought that would be a cool thing it may not make money. I know it's all about the business, but I just thought that idea was so cool to me to have like a futuristic, with like a lot of tech, like that sort of Batman in the hands of a young kid that may not know what to do with it.
Let me ask you guys this though: is there not a danger? Because you know me, I'm kind of sick in the Marvel universe about everybody having to be Iron Man. Like Spider-Man, no, he's not cool. Make him Iron Man Jr. Give him an Iron Man suit. The Dora Milaje, now they're not cool enough. Give them Iron Man suits. I'm asking, this isn't a rhetorical question. I mean this honestly, and I ask the three of you guys. Is there a danger here, though, with the Batman Beyond that this is just going to be a Peter Parker getting an Iron Man suit? Is this just going to be DC's Iron Man with Batman Beyond?
I kind of want that to be it because DC doesn't have that. I mean, we could be sick of all we want. I am too about everyone getting an Iron Man suit. They have Ironheart coming.
Yeah,
Ironheart
on top of it. Yep.
But DC doesn't have that little thing that
we also got Blue Beetle coming.
True,
right? So the Scarab is going to be a
true.
little. I mean, it's different. It's an alien thing. It's a little different, but
it all depends on the reiteration. There's not the injustice. I don't know. Hot Toys did like a Batman, like that Batman Beyond right there. It could be like that, and the older one.
Oh yeah, the one that's on the desk right there.
Yeah, I don't know. It all depends, but I do think a Batman Beyond movie will work for me.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It doesn't look like there's any possibility this is about reviving Batgirl. I think that ship has sailed, but I mean, it could mean a lot of different things. And by the way, it could be any other number of DC projects that James Gunn might be hot on and might want to give these guys to direct. Maybe it's Batman Beyond, maybe it's not. Who knows? I think, listen, if it's ever going to happen, this is your shot. This is now or never. Take your shot. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Do you think there could be a Batman Beyond project in the future? If so, do you think it would lean towards animation, maybe live action? Do you think there might be a danger of it just kind of looking like an Iron Man knockoff? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down, let's now move over and start taking your live comments and questions. Now, once again, if you are kind of torn between sending in a super chat and asking a question or taking that money and donating some money to our GoFundMe link that's right at the top of the page here for our adopted family this Christmas, I would encourage you, bypass the super chat, go donate money to that family. But if you want to do both here. Now's your time to do it. So we're opening up the super chats. We're just going to leave it open for just a couple of minutes. But before we get to those super chats, guys, we want to thank the main sponsor of our show, my mobile service provider, Ryan Reynolds' own Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. This holiday season, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you get another 3 months for free. Mint Mobile lets you order and activate from home with eSIM while saving tons on phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I've been using Mint Mobile long before this holiday deal, and I have to say it is the perfect time to switch. I have absolutely loved using Mint Mobile, and like I've told you guys many times, I am now spending less than 1/3 of what I used to spend under one of the other major mobile carriers. And now with the whole buy 3 months, get 3 months free deal, it's even better. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily and effortlessly with eSIM. Or if you need a new device, for a limited time, get 6 months of free service when you buy a select device and plan. So guys, for a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months for free by going to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to Mint Mobile for giving me amazing self-service for less than a third of what I was spending on my cell phone bill before with one of the major carriers. And of course, for being a sponsor of the John Campea Show. All right. With that down, guys, let's get to your live questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what do we got in there?
All right. First, we have support from Alan Miguel III.
Thank you, Alan.
And then we've got Josh Becker here. He says reactions to Avatar come out at 6 Eastern time today.
Yeah, 3 p.m. today is when the first official reactions come out for Avatar. Avatar: The Way of Water.
Oh.
So we already had one reaction from Guillermo del Toro, which was glowing. So we'll see what everybody else's reactions are. Obviously, we'll have a lot to talk about on tomorrow's show. All right, what's next?
All right. We've got Margarita Levieva and Sandrine Holt have been cast in major roles in Daredevil Born Again. So there's speculation that one is Karen, the other is Elektra. What do you think?
I mean, it'll be interesting. By the way, that came from My Comic Planet. It'll be interesting to see, because if that's the case, then it settles the debate about whether or not this is the exact same Daredevil from the Netflix series, or if it's a different Daredevil who's just like the Daredevil from the other one.
Right.
So I don't know. Look, I have said forever that I do not believe, I've said it from the beginning, that this Daredevil that we have in the MCU now he is exactly like the Netflix Daredevil, but I do not believe it's the exact same one. If they come out with these recasted characters, I think that settles the issue. That settles it. It's done. The debate's over. But I don't know that that's true. So I still think we have to wait and see, but we'll find out soon enough. All right. Thanks for writing that in, My Comic Planet. All right. What's next?
This comes from Rob McDonald. He writes, I love Rip and Beth. They had a scene that made me take notes for my relationships. Case used to be my favorite, but he hasn't had a good story since season 3.
I'll tell you what, they have not used Casey a lot. And when the show started, it kind of felt like it was going to be his show. It kind of felt like the show was going to kind of revolve around Casey. Well, Casey and the dad. I mean, that's what it felt was going to revolve around. But I'm not going to lie to you, man. The storyline of them losing their child has been very emotionally gripping to me. And I've enjoyed it a lot. It hasn't been the pop flash storylines that like Rip and Beth have or anything like that, or the running for governor. And I get that, but I think the emotional heart of the stories has still revolved around Casey and his wife and their son. So I'm still really liking that a lot. All right, what's next?
All right, this comes from Fanimator. He writes, or they write, what did you think of Violent Night? As the biggest Pixar fan, I also think Elemental should move to Thanksgiving to avoid competition with Flash.
And you know what? That is something that could ultimately happen, right? Like that is still a ways off. And now that, Flash has moved on to the same weekend, the folks at Pixar may very well want to take a look at that and think maybe there's some other better, more potentially profitable release dates for them. So they very well could move off that date. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. As far as Violent Night, I was going to go see it last night, and then I realized that the Monday night game was Tom Brady, and I opted to watch Tom Brady. By the way, did you see that? Did you see what happened in that?
I did.
Down by 13 with 3 minutes left. The GOAT marches down the field twice, and with 2 seconds left, scores the second touchdown to win the game. He now set the all-time record for most fourth quarter comebacks by any player in history.
I will have to admit something this morning. I was maybe 5 minutes late, 10 minutes, because Morocco beat Spain in the World Cup.
They did?
Yeah.
That's got to be considered an upset.
Yeah, it was. They were down to the the free kicks, penalty kicks, where each of them get 5 or something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Listen, I'm not a big soccer guy, but I got to tell you that when it's on the world stage, the drama is good, man.
That crowd. If you could put that crowd into any sporting event, anything, even a movie, it just hypes it up a lot more. Those crowds go crazy.
All right, what's next?
This comes from Dumbledore. If a Batman Beyond film is set, I'd prefer it to be in its isolated universe instead of DCU, so they don't have to make sure the present timeline fits in.
I agree. I think I personally think that if you're going to do, well, first of all, if you do it animated, then that's not a problem. Mm-hmm. If you do it live action, then you face several problems, right? because Batman Beyond is supposed to be set like 40 years in the future. I think you need to approach it like you did Joker and like you did with Robert Pattinson's Batman. I think you got to treat it that way. Now, look, I don't know. James Gunn might come up with a great idea to make it work today, but with Michael Keaton's Batman as being the mentor Batman, which is what a lot of people have been asked. But honestly, I think the best way to approach it, if they do it at all, is the way they did Joker. What do you think, Ray?
And didn't he say that? Well, to me, it's a scary thought that even video games are going to be connected in what he's trying to do. That's a daunting task to me. I wish him luck. If anyone could do it, he can. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Star Wars tried the same.
Yeah, Star Wars tried, didn't work out so well.
Yeah.
They abandoned it pretty quick. All right, what's next?
All right, this comes from Cody Hunt, who writes, didn't Zaslav say that he didn't want multiple Batmans in Gunn's DC?
Yeah, well, what he said specifically was there's not going to be, what did he say, 5? There's not going to be 5 Batmen running around, which is part of the reason why that if you did Batman Beyond, it would either be set in the DCU, but 40 years in the future, so it doesn't really affect the current timeline, or it'll be set as a separate thing, a totally separate thing, like a Joker or Robert Pattinson's Batman.
But that's the thing with Batman Beyond. To me, he was never the Batman to me. Like, I mean, whenever I watched it, it was completely different. The name is there, but he's not Batman. Not to me, at least. He's not the Batman, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, Bruce Wayne is the Batman, but I mean, look, but what Zaslav did not say is that there will not be multiple Batman, because there already are. You've got Robert Pattinson's Batman, which they're committed to, and you're going to have whoever your Batman ends up being in the DCU. He just said you're not going to have like all these kind of, I think what he's saying is you're not going to have this huge multiverse of thing running around all the time, but you can have standalone films.
And that's what I think the Flash is going to answer for us with the Batman thing. That's why they have Ben Affleck and Ken Keaton in there, right? I think there's Ben Affleck in there.
Yep.
I would like to say I think that answers. That's why they're so hell bent on releasing this thing, is because it actually answers the Batman question.
Well, remember though, this movie was planned before Discovery took over the company, so they may have like totally different plans, but it's still a lot of big questions to be answered.
A lot of Batman in it.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Yeah, and technically, we also have a Bruce Wayne in the Joker. So it's another.
That's
Bruce
right.
Wayne.
Yeah, we do have the young Bruce Wayne in the Joker.
Bruce
That's right.
Wayne. All right, Jay Bling writes, doesn't Dwayne Johnson deserve some blame for Black Adam's marketing as well as WB? He likes to be at the forefront of promotional efforts, after all. Or were you just referring to the trailers?
No, look, I absolutely believe that. Listen, it's a $7 production movie. He is $7 production. He has partners as well, but so of course he absolutely deserves some of the blame for the financial shortcomings of Black Adam and whatever failures it had. But I don't put any of the marketing blame on him. Look, he was doing everything he could to sell this movie. He busted his ass all the time. He was always in promotion mode, trying to promote this movie. But, you know, the production companies do not get a say in how a movie's marketed, right? Everybody thinks that the directors of a movie or whatever, they're the ones behind the trailer. They're not. 99% of the time, the directors never even see a trailer until it comes out. The distributors, they're the ones who take control of the marketing of a film. So while I do believe Dwayne Johnson, my second favorite movie star in the world, the biggest movie star in the world, while I believe that Dwayne Johnson should shoulder some of the responsibility for the failures of Black Adam, I don't think any of that stretches out to the marketing of it, because he did everything he possibly could. All right, what's next?
Quick question, because maybe you guys touched on it, but there is a way to do Batman Beyond in its own universe, but still be familiar. I mean, you could have Keaton. It could be in the Keaton universe.
Well, I just kind of mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
But it looks like they might be with the whole I don't know.
I still agree. I think it's still muddled. But.
Yeah, a lot of connecting dots there. All right, what's next?
Okay, from Sam Fisher. Per Deadline, it looks like Disney CFO Christine McCarthy has emerged as Iger's successor. She was the King Killer who got Bobby Paycheck fired.
Yeah, I read that. The reason I decided not to make that a story is because I think that's premature. Listen, one of the things they are not going to do is rush this decision. I think they saw what happened the last time. And while I totally buy that there may be somebody who might be considered a front runner already, I buy that. I don't believe for a second that they're going to rush this decision and go, okay, so Bob Iger just came back in. Okay, let's make a decision this week. Bob Iger's here for 2 years. I think they're going to take their time. And listen, it may very well be her. Hers was one of the names that was kind of bandied about last time. So, I mean, 1 + 1, right? So it very well could be her, but I decided not even to make that a topic today because I think that's wildly premature. I think there's a long way to go before they even make a decision. And we'll see how it goes. And it very well could end up being her. It would make sense. But again, I think it's premature at this point. All right, what's next?
My Comic Planet writes, let me scroll down here. My Comic Planet writes, Margot Robbie wants the Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy romance to happen in live action. John, I know you have loved the relationship in the Harley Quinn HBO animated series. You a fan of this idea?
Love it. Love it. That the Harley Quinn Poison Ivy relationship in the Harley Quinn show is the best relationship in comic book stuff. It's fun, it's charming, it's funny. The two are such different characters, but they work so well together. Now, look, but then in live action, it all depends on how you make the characters in live action, right? Just because they work great in that animated series doesn't mean it'll work great in live action. But if they follow the cues of the characters they have in the animated show, it could be the best. Because again, in that animated, to me, is the best relationship in animation. I love it.
To quote Rob, he's probably saying, yes, 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 yes.
Hold on.
He's saying, bruh.
Redhead.
To quote Rob, I've been wanting to see this live action Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy
I have to tell you.
since 1982 when Kirstie Alley was in Star Trek.
No, I'm
Would it surprise you to find out I have the 4K Steelbook of...
Yeah.
Sorry, we're giving Rob a hard time. He's not even here to defend himself. Come on.
Come on, Rob is all for this.
Oh, of course he is. Of course he is. All right, what's next?
CJ Rebirth, he writes simply, Leroy Jenkins.
It never ceases. There's still things in my life when everybody's what I think is like either rushing to a decision or rushing into something that I will still go, Leroy Jenkins. Yeah.
So
anyway,
I've heard that audio. Was that from, they were actually recording, they were doing an RPG game? Was that real?
It was from World of Warcraft.
And it was real.
From my total understanding, it was absolutely real. You had this collection of guys getting ready to do a raid,
Right.
and they were trying to figure out how they're going to damage their DPS and all that kind of stuff, and who's going to do this and that. And all of a sudden, all right, let's do this. Leroy is one of the greatest things. It's the reason the internet exists.
Don't they all get slaughtered?
Oh yeah, then they all get.
And he's like, sorry guys, sorry.
Yeah, the next line is all you hear is after he rushes in, everybody runs in too. The next great line, other than Leroy, he goes, "God damn it, Leroy!" It's one of the greatest. It's the reason the internet was created. Was that moment? All right, what's next?
All right, Stella McShay writes, which June release do you think will make the most? Probably Transformers, unfortunately. I mean, if it's good, I don't say unfortunately.
Here's why I say no. That god awful Transformers the last night took a major drop in box office, and then Bumblebee, which was excellent,
suffered.
Didn't do all. I mean, it did all right, but it did not do all that great. Listen, everybody loves Harrison Ford. Everybody wants to get the taste of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull out of their mouths. Again, I'm not necessarily saying that it's going to be $1 billion film, Indy 5, but I think Indy 5 is going to be the biggest one. Although, again, never count out a Pixar film. You never know. Who knows how good listen, if The Flash is as good as they're all saying it is, if Andy Muschietti has truly delivered that level of a film, who knows?
Right.
I mean, look, Aquaman came out of nowhere, right? Aquaman came out, nobody expected Aquaman to make $1 billion. I certainly didn't. Like, you think Aquaman can make $1 billion? I'd be like, nah, and made $1 billion. So you never know, but my guess right now would be Indy 5.
That was a fun showing, huh? With our first time watching Aquaman in Canada.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did watch that in Canada, didn't we?
Yeah, that was actually a really fun night. I mean, I feel bad because I always bring up, oh, yeah, we were at that dine-in, and I ordered shrimp tacos. And then on the screen, there's probably like 1,000 shrimp that are alive and happy. And I'm just eating.
Like, I'm eating one of them right now.
I mean, I'm not betting on animation, but I wouldn't sleep on Spider-Verse. You know,
I mean, that's the other one. Like, right, the last one, Beloved, won the Academy Award. Listen, while I lean towards Indy 5, I think there is an argument to be made for each one of those films coming out.
Wait, is Spider-Verse opening up the same month too?
Yes.
June 6th, yeah. So it could be.
Welcome to the show, Ray.
Welcome.
Welcome to the show. We're glad you're here.
I just think we're that close to its release. Oh, okay.
All right, what's next?
It's not that close when you're waiting on Ezra to mess up again. So we've got Marie Seifring here with a $50 super chat.
Marie, sending in 50. Thank you so much, Marie. Appreciate that so much.
And Marie writes, with Artemis finally launching on November 16th, 2022, how do you think ongoing NASA missions to the moon and to Mars will affect interest in shows like For All Mankind? And vice versa, shows getting the public more interested in actual science missions?
You know what? One of my favorite tech podcasters and YouTubers for many years, like ever since I got into tech and stuff like that, is a guy by the name of Leo Laporte.
Yes.
Who does the Twit network, the This Week in Tech network. And he's very, very big into space exploration and stuff like that. And he'll always bring up when new missions launch and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things he also points out is that he laments that people do not pay attention to it like they did in the 60s, right? And that's a shame. We are talking about humanity defining kind of things. And it seems like the majority of our culture doesn't really care about it that much. So I gotta say, I don't know if it'll have any impact on shows like For All Mankind or whatever.
What's crazy, it went reverse with me. I didn't really care about anything space until I started watching For All Mankind. Now I'm so into it. Now I'm going to watch news about it. I'm watching launches. I don't know why it had that effect on me. The fascination, I think it brought it from like deep down where I had it the whole time. I just didn't know I had it. I don't know.
But I think you're absolutely right. I think if anything, it's the reverse. I think you're hoping that shows like For All Mankind and others might draw attention to the real life stuff and it should. The real life stuff should be influencing us more, but it just doesn't seem to all that much as a culture.
Everyone should be following NASA on Instagram. Those images are beautiful.
Yeah, they're crazy, stupid good. Anyway, Marie, thank you so much for sending that in, and thank you for supporting us on that level. That's really generous of you. Thank you so much. All right, what's next?
All right, we have Gabriel next. Will upgrading to 8K plus in the future have any significant viewing experience?
Listen, I've said this before. People hate it when I say it. But it's the truth. The human eye can only perceive so many pixels. And right now, there's a lot of good videos on YouTube that also talk about, depending on the size of your TV and how far you are from that TV, your eye can't even perceive the difference between 1080 and 4K, let alone 8K. I think that's listen, 8K is a marketing gimmick because here's the problem if you're the TV industry. TVs people have are great, and people don't feel the need to upgrade them. Unless you want a bigger TV. So they need to constantly come up with things to make you as a consumer feel like what you have is obsolete, when it's really not. And so I think it's going to be a bit before 8K becomes any kind of a standard, because again, there are some really good YouTube videos out there that break down the science of it, that much better than I possibly could right now. But the reality is, you're not even going to be able to notice the difference.
Is there a reason why, other than flex, right? Other than you flexing, oh, you got 8K, is there an actual single reason why someone would get an 8K?
You get convinced it's better. Somebody convinces you it's better.
So it wouldn't show up like if you're doing like production work or media work or something like.
You better have a large screen too,
like graphics or anything.
Yeah, that's the thing too, right? There's a correlation right there. If you suddenly have 120 inch, like I've got a 150 inch projector in the theater room, right?
Which is too big to me.
Well, and if that's because you sit too close.
I know. I do.
Okay, let me tell everybody what happens here. As long as I've known Ray, which is like getting 14 years now.
I'm a floor guy.
No matter how much you invest on having comfy sofas and couches, whatever, Ray comes over, time to watch the game. He lays down on the floor. He does.
I'm a bear, baby.
So we have in the Campea, in the Campea theater room, we've got, let me see if I can just
He's
you
got
guys.
this huge couch. Let me finish that. He's got this huge couch that covers the whole floor. What I do is at the end of the couch, I sit and use that as my backing.
Yeah,
I'm
he
not even
uses
on the
couch. He uses this couch that we've got. Actually, let me see if I can bring this up. Go ahead, Jonathan, bring up the NDI here if you can. But there's the Campea theater room. I don't know if you can kind of gauge it, but that couch, which Anne picked out, can comfortably seat about 8 people, maybe 9 or 10. But what Ray
An
does
orgy 12.
is he literally sits on the floor in front of it and leans back against the couch. And then he wonders why, man, maybe this screen is a little too big.
I wish my back could be so cozy, but my back could be so sore. What would
I will
do?
give 2 explanations. The doggies are that low and they can't go on the couch. So I like sitting down there. And also, that couch is so comfortable. I've tried sitting on that couch. I will fall
on and
asleep.
falls asleep.
I will fall asleep in like 5 seconds.
Like he can't. Ray gets midway on the couch and falls asleep. He never makes it to the back of the couch.
And you always tell me when we're watching something, and then you're like, Anne's falling asleep. I know what she's feeling. That couch is too comfortable.
It is a really damn comfy couch.
Fat Joe would approve.
Shout out.
What did I say? We were in the commercial break. This is what I said. We were going to the commercial break. One of the last commercial break, we were just talking about Black Adam. I said, a movie I would love to see? I would love to see Black Adam versus General Zod, Michael Shannon's General Zod.
Oh, yeah.
And then Taylor out of nowhere, I want to see Black Adam versus Fat Joe.
I did a deep dive into Fat Joe's Instagram because Jonathan spread a rumor that Fat Joe passed
Never
away.
said such a thing.
Fat Joe's still alive and well.
Anyway, but to getting back to the point that Jonathan's making, like, yeah, you get a screen that big, and then like 8K, you might start to notice that different. But again, the proportions become so ridiculous that, look, if you buy into something that's 8K, I think you're just getting
It's so
suckered.
expensive too.
Yeah, you're just getting suckered. I there's no need for it. Anyway, that's just my take.
I mean,
on it.
on your phone, 480 doesn't even look that bad if it's just like a small image.
No, listen, I looked up a video on my phone at 720 versus 1080 and 4K. Now, I did notice a difference between 720 and 4K, but I really didn't notice the difference between 720 and 1080 on my phone.
Right.
And I don't notice really any difference between really good 1080 and 4K on my phone. 720 to 4K I could, but even that wasn't all that bad. Anyway, all right, let's keep going here. What's next?
All right, Murray Reich writes, sorry for not being clear on Sunday's Ask Me Anything. What I meant to ask was, whatever happened to the proposed Ryan Reynolds Home Alone movie Stoned Alone? I remember they were in talks about it.
Huh. I'll be straight up honest with you. I have no recollection of this.
Let's get on the horn with Ryan.
I mean, I could drop Ryan an email, I guess. I doubt he'll respond to that one.
So I did find something.
Okay. What did you find?
This is from Movie Web. It was published 6 days ago. Joe Pesci says, never say never about reuniting for a Home Alone sequel. And then it mentions that Ryan Reynolds has been trying to get Stoned Alone, an R-rated take on Home Alone, off the ground for some time, since 2018, but doesn't look like it's made much progress since then.
Then
Sounds
we might
fun,
hear
though.
from that someday.
I'm a huge Ryan. Obviously, I'm a huge Ryan Reynolds fan. I've never heard of that.
Well, at this
I'm not
point,
gonna lie
I
to you.
think-
It doesn't sound like a great idea to me, but hey, if Ryan wants to do it, why not? All right, what's next?
All right. Lost Anchor Films writes, your favorite between Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight.
Before Sunrise.
Yeah, I'd go with the original.
The whole thing is a really, really special set of films. And like some people, like a lot of people, and I get it, when the conversations of the greatest trilogies come up, a lot of people say, hey, the Before films. It's like, you know what? I don't really put it in that category, but those are really, really good films. But for me, it's the first one. All right, what's next?
All right. Dante Serecchia writes, hey, John, I know you quit on Rick and Morty, but you quit on Rick and Morty a long time ago, didn't you? But I'm compelled to recommend an episode from this season. It's right up your alley as a one-off story. Season 7, episode 6, titled Full Meta Jack Rick. So funny. Bring on the filthy.
Yeah, I can be convinced to check out a random episode. Yeah, listen, it's really funny. The Rick and Morty thing is a really strange thing because I am the type of guy that Rick and Morty seems like the kind of show that is totally up my alley. It like that totally looks like it's a show designed for John. And Dennis loves it. And so Dennis got me saying, you gotta start watching this. I'm like, all right. And I powered through the entire first season and I just didn't find it all that funny. And people say, oh, you just didn't get it. No, I got it. Listen, different things hit us all in different ways. And for me, it just didn't work. Like, it's just simple as that. But you know what? There are many shows that I didn't like, but there was a few episodes that I really, really dug. So I might check that episode out. Thanks for giving me the recommendation. All right, what's next?
All right, Film Code Podcast writes, well, it's finally happened. I have a new #1 film of the year, Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans. My God, it's perfect.
Love that I'm hearing so many great things about it. I have still not had it open in a theater really close to me. Anne and I were still going to go. I think it's playing in Ontario. So Anne and I were going to try to go see it in Ontario, but then we had to go she had the conference. We went out to Vegas for 4 days and then we had to get back. And then as soon as we got back, we had LA Comic-Con. So then we were out there for all those days. And now we've been back for 1 day. So I still have not had a chance to see Fabelmans. So hopefully we're going to be able to, I got a couple things I got to see. I got to see Fabelmans this week. I got to see Violent Night. There's one, I finally got caught up on Yellowstone and Tulsa King, which is really good, by the way. But yeah, I got to get out to that. Thank you for the recommendation. Greatest filmmaker of all time. I'm very excited about seeing it. I
He
hope
deserves a win, right? Steven
Spielberg?
Spielberg hasn't been since the Terminal that
Yes, Steven's been on big of a slump since the Terminal. It's all downhill after the Terminal. All right, what's next?
Downhill before that, too. I don't even know how that's physically possible.
All right, what's next?
Okay.
I'm going to see Sam Fisher writes, I'm going to see Del Toro's Pinocchio tonight at IFC.
Hey, listen, somebody wrote in the other day and said there was a reporter talking to him that suggested Pinocchio could get nominated for Best Picture, not just Best Animated Film, Best Picture. At the time I said, yeah, but that's just one random guy giving his opinion. Well, the Hollywood Reporter did an article making a case basically saying that they believe that Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio could become only the 4th animated film in history to get nominated for Best Picture. Now, I have not seen it. The trailer looks great. So do me a favor, man, write in again tomorrow and let us know what you thought about it, because I'm starting to hear ridiculously good things about it. So let's keep our eyes on that. All right, what's next?
All right, Hoopsuni writes, over under 95%. Knives Out 3 gets a full theater release. I still say under.
Under 95 is way too high. That's way too high. 35%. I think that's a legitimate chance, but also keeping it realistic. 95% is way too high, but I'd say it's got a good 35% that they may just go, you know what?
I think they should.
Look at what happened with Bullet Train.
Yep.
Look at what happened with Where the Crawdads Sing. Look at what happened with Glass Onion. We are getting, as they start to amass more and more evidence that putting these movies in theaters first not only makes the money in the theaters that they never would have got, it also means when they do put it on Netflix on their streaming service, it becomes much more successful on your streaming service than if you just dropped it directly there. As that evidence starts to mount, there's going to come a time where they're not going to be able to ignore that anymore. But I don't think Knives Out 3 is the one that's necessarily going to be a 95% chance. So I'll say a very solid 35% chance. All right, what's next?
I'll tell you this much. Investors don't want to hear about this like mini film festival. They want to hear about the 50 million you made. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Chef Rigo writes, Chef Rigo! The John Campea Show Christmas party at Shogun.
Anne and I were on our nightly walk last night, and Anne asked me, are you going to do a Christmas thing this year? And I said, I haven't even thought about it because I don't care about the people who work for me. But maybe that's actually, something like a Shogun or something like that.
It sounds right.
Sounds right.
Checks out.
That checks out. I was actually thinking something else, but Shogun, nah, probably not. I think we definitely do have to do lunch at Shogun again soon. But I think if I'm going to take us all out for like a Christmas dinner, I think it'll probably be to
like Carl's Jr.
Let's do that today, actually.
It's maybe somewhere in L.A. Maybe somewhere in L.A.
You know, but we haven't been a Shogun since he's taken over the mantle of head.
That's true. Of head chef, we got to get out there. Maybe we go out there today. I'm hungry. Rob's not here.
Rob shows up.
He'll get it for this.
Oh no.
He'll show up for that. All right, what's next?
All right, Al Renshaw writes, we need a bet where the crew gets hot toys if Batman Beyond comes out under gun. Batman Beyond all day. How dare John save those people? Hashtag Army of Ray. Hashtag We Believe.
BBC.
Let's do it, John.
Who's getting the hot toys?
What do you mean, I'm the one here telling you and making the case why it might happen
I just
now.
want an easy win, baby.
I like how I've got the cheesy puffs behind me. This
You
whole
want me
time.
to
No one's
bet
betting.
against the thing I was just making the case for?
I'm gonna start looking right now for which one I want. There is a really cool Anakin one that I'll send you, John. I'll send it right to you.
You guys keep like, why are these bets happening where the only is like if I win I get nothing, but if you win you guys get something?
I'm getting frustrated with Rob because it was so easy with him to make a bet with him before. Now he's just really like,
That is like, no.
He's Scroogey about it. You
He's
know?
screwed you about it. Won't give me my free stuff.
Yeah.
How dare Rob not give me free
So
stuff?
this is what we could do. If they release a Batman Beyond movie under gun,
Yeah.
we get hot toys, right? If they don't, you can eat ketchup on eggs.
That
I
seems
like
fair.
this. How about this? I'll make this bet. I'll make this.
Oh shit.
If a Batman Beyond movie gets announced, a live action, not animated, if a live action Batman Beyond movie gets announced by the end of 2023, I will buy each of you your own hot toy. If they do not, you guys work 1 month each without a salary.
No, that's all right.
Oh yeah. Now when there's something on the line for you,
James.
you're not so not
You
so
guys
big.
get paid?
Oh, this is awkward.
Oh no.
It's awkward. You guys get paid? Wait a minute.
We can work. I'll work with something. Let me work on something like that. But a whole month, I'll work for. I'll
it'll
work
probably
for
be
something where
something like that.
where it'll be juicy for you.
I just love that I spent 10 minutes laying
You
out an
know, you're
argument
right.
why a Batman Beyond could now happen,
right.
and you want me to bet against it. Thank you.
I'll tinker around with that idea right there.
It's like, Tanner, wait a minute. You guys
Because
get
I
paid?
believe there'll be something in that. But 2023, you said by 20 or
The end
in
of 2023. By the end of 2023. So you got a full
That's
calendar
not very long.
full calendar year. All right.
Okay.
We're almost out of time here. Let's get moving here. What's next?
All right, WraithX7 writes, I think that a lot of people know D&D from the 80s Marvel animated series.
I'll tell you what, you talk to my buddy Kyle, who director of Fanboys. He's directing the upcoming documentary on Dungeons and Dragons. Whenever he goes and does like talks about Dungeons and Dragons, there's always two things he brings up. One, the Tom Hanks Mazes and Monsters movie, which you have to watch. It's so bad. But the other thing he always brings up is that animated show. I am the Dungeon Master. There's that animated show. I think I was watching that show before I started playing D&D. So yeah, that was a classic. All right, what's next?
All right, Ben Rayner with $20 super chat. The funniest part is that the Batman Beyond news is that it happens on a day without Rob and Chris. It feels sus. Hashtag Rob and hashtag Chris. Hashtag Batman Beyond crew. Hashtag victory.
But let's be clear about something here, because I don't want to create any false energy or false hope here. There is no Batman Beyond news. Right? Let's be clear. Like, these directors could be meeting about James Gunn about 1,000 different things.
Just let us have this, man. Come
I'm
on.
not trying to take it away from you. I'm just saying. It's just I don't want to say, because if
Right,
it doesn't
right.
happen, I don't want people come back to me. John, you said that it's happening. I don't want people coming back to me saying, well, John told us that this was happening. It's like, no. I'm just saying, I'm just reading what's out there. That's all. I'm just saying. All right, what's next?
All right. Let me just make sure I got all this. Oh, yeah, it's all there. All right. King Tane writes, can you explain the menu ending? Which movie was it similar to?
Okay,
I don't remember who was saying
I
that.
did this on the John Campea Ask Me Anything on the weekend. So look, I will tell you, but if you have not seen the menu, I'm going to hold up this party favor.
That really helps me in the room, but okay.
I'm going to hold up this party favor.
Okay.
So as long as this is up, if you don't want to know something that happens, I'm not even going to give you the full reveal, but if you don't want to know a detail of something that happens at the end of the menu, then mute your computer while I'm holding this up. Okay, once I put it down there, you can unmute your computer. All right. The ending of the menu is Ratatouille. At the end of Ratatouille, the way they break through to Anton Ego, the food critic, is that they put together a dish of ratatouille, which was his comfort food when he was a child. And as he ate the food, it brought back all those memories. It re-emerged all those thoughts and those cherished memories, and it made him happy, right? When Anya Taylor-Joy is in his house and she sees all the pictures of him, there's only one picture of all of his triumphs and all of his successes. There was only one picture where he looked happy. And it was a picture of when he was younger working at a burger place making burgers. It's the only picture where he looked happy. And so she decides, as we're getting close to the culmination of the movie, to ask him, not for all these great chef things. She said, I want a cheeseburger. And you see in his face as he goes back and is making that cheeseburger, you actually see him enjoying himself and feeling happy. Maybe a feeling he hadn't felt in years. And so that, to me, was magic. And that, to me, is why the ending of that movie worked so well. Okay, let's move on now.
Did he put that thing down? Because I
Yes.
didn't want to have to hear it. So, okay, we're good.
Sorry, Jonathan. It's one of the drawbacks of working on this show.
All right, Josh Becker writes, I'm surprised we haven't heard how pre-sales are doing for Avatar, considering Fandango reports it for big movies.
I haven't heard anything about that. Look, I'm like, if the pre-sales were bad, you'd be hearing about it. But yeah, you know what? That's a very good question. All I know is that when Ann and I, we realized we hadn't got our tickets initially. So when we went to get our tickets, all the initial showings that we were looking at were sold out. Now, thankfully, then they opened up a bunch more screens for it and we were able to get our tickets. But I got to imagine they're pretty good. But yeah, I think if they were really great or really bad, we would have heard about it. They might just be on pace for exactly what they expected.
I don't know why I'm asking this, but I will. Were you guys looking for 3D showings or?
I specifically said, Ann, if we want Ray to come, we got to look for 3D screenings.
Okay. And those were all sold out?
Though the initial ones we looked at were yes.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
All right, we've got support from Jay Master. And
Thank you, Jay Master.
And then our final question is from Matt Boyle. Do you think John Williams will ever be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Will any film composers be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Okay, that might sound like a dumb question, but I'll tell you why it's not. Dolly Parton was just inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, even Dolly Parton came out and said, hey guys, I'm so honored, but I don't think you should be inducting me into the Hall of Fame. But apparently, I think they still voted her in. I think they voted her in anyway. So if the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame can induct Dolly Parton,
A 9 to 5 slaps.
it does. It's great. Dolly Parton rules. But if they could vote Dolly Parton into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, why not John Williams?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just saying, you set precedent with Dolly Parton. It really becomes a music Hall of Fame at that point. So,
and then The Martian also got Best Comedy of the Year.
Yeah, Martian won Best Comedy at the Golden Globes. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Public Enemy can get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So why not?
At this point, John Williams should just have his own award. We appreciate John Williams Award. I mean, he's done so much for movies.
He should just have a country named after him.
Yeah.
Welcome to John Williams.
Yeah.
Capital City, John Williams. I don't know. All right, guys. That'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the John Campea Show, thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to remind you guys, we are doing our Adopt a Family campaign again this year. You guys almost sold. There's still some things in the Amazon wish list. So if you want to go in there, there's still some shirts and some clothing items needed. You guys can go in there and buy this, but you guys have almost bought out the entire thing. Thank you so much for that. But we also now have a GoFundMe set up for this family. And since the start of the show, you guys have donated over $900 to it just since the start of the show. We're closing it on $2,000 in general. We'd like to get to a goal of $5,000 if we can. But anyway, guys, so go support a family that really needs it. Let's do something great this Christmas. And again, guys, don't forget, the John Campea Show returns tomorrow. And we hope you will make this show part of your day again then. So guys, for everybody in the room, Ray Ora back there, right beside him, Jonathan Boyko, the mathematically impaired Taylor Gonzalez,
Mathematics,
and myself, John Campea. That'll do it for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.